Hey, my name is Darrell. I'm down in Washington, D.C. I came down here because of Earth Day. I'm a chemist by background, and there's some things that a lot of people have to know, and there's a level of urgency. While I feel that there is a sincere attempt being made to address things, we are long overdue, and we cannot wait. We simply do not have time. Um, let me get the actual. So 2028 is the date. Net 20 is the maximum emissions. We can't wait. And that's the bottom line first. We don't have time. Well named and still understated. So I watched a lot of the coverage of the events yesterday, flipping back and forth between financing, the pace to zero, and the president and foreign leaders. I appreciate that they are much more on a serious edge than even what we saw in the original Paris Accords. And I would actually say thus far, Biden has exceeded expectations. We are back on track with stronger goals than before. That having been said, there's still a disconnect between the science I gather on my questions, and I'm, again, a chemist, and the time frames. 2050 is a complete non-starter. These are going to be facts. 17 billion pounds of CO2 released in the United States every day just from oil. It comes from the EIA times 860 pounds of CO2 per barrel of oil. That's nearly 70 pounds per person per day for all of 324 million Americans of the last census. Now, if we take into account everything, all in all, Americans release their body weight in carbon dioxide every single day. Now, it comes from the industrial processes that we use to make the things for our lives, not us breathing out. But this still doesn't take into account the fact that a lot of China's emissions are actually come from making American things. The waste from our system are beyond absurd. Humans pull 100 billion tons, I think it was, it, per year from the environment. They either turn into waste gases or into trash 67 billion tons per year. That is obscene and disgusting. The water bottles that people use once and throw away supposedly last for 350 years. I don't care if it's 75 years. You don't make something to drink out of once and then you throw it away and then it's there for 75 years and then somebody has to go do something. Where does it all go? Into the trash. 6% of all plastics in the United States are recycled. This is not, these things sound like a Dr. Evil plot, not reality, not real life. Consider this one passage. Um, Scientists at the U.S. National Center for Atmospheric Research have modeled the contribution of ocean-bound carbon dioxide to global warming. They determined that even if greenhouse production remained constant, the temperature of the atmosphere would continue to rise for another 100 to 200 years. As well, the continued melting of polar ice over the next several centuries will continue to drive an increase in sea level. I'll be looking into even this, but these are crazy things for us to have to consider. And when there's things where there's a crisis, you don't talk about, oh, let's aim to get done in 30 years, 2050. No, 2028. Further, there's still something of this pretense that all of the global warming and the greenhouse effect is somehow relatively new. This is false. In 1824, Fourier, the modern quality assurance process is used in easily 33% of the world's global economy, postulated the greenhouse effect, which is just that carbon dioxide acts as insulation for the earth. Without that, no life on Earth could possibly exist. So we know carbon dioxide acts as insulation. We understand how insulation works, and the amount that we're putting into the air is absurd, and we have always known. So they proved it. He theorized in 1824. It was proven by a American woman, Eunice Foote, in like 1850s. So before the American Supreme Court had figured out that black people were actually people, even though it's kind of in the name. We knew what greenhouse gases about the greenhouse effect, and then about global warming. The book on that that predicts everything up until today was written in 1896 by Svante Arrhenius. You're Swedish, you say, duh. Um, so the bottom line, though, on this is that we have always known about the risks. That I might live to see my children curse me for my inactions, or worse yet, that there might be a possibility that cities I remember may end up abandoned, even if that's near the end of my life, is not a thing I wish to have over my head anymore. That's stressful because I understand how these things work, and I think I can figure out a lot of ways to fix it, but we don't have time. In 2050, I don't think we're going to be able to fix it. There's going to be icebergs floating all over the ocean. It's going to be bad. It's supposed to be 3 degrees at the current rate. Centigrade. So, I like to stay away from those sorts of possibilities. I'd hope that the thousands of species which are dying for my coffee creamer or my cheddar cheeseburger would mean that we would start to figure out different ways. It's not cutting ourselves off at the wrist, but it's sometimes you have to change the way you live. I mean, we have 8 billion people. You can't do the same thing with 8 billion people that you do with 3 billion people. Got enough for everybody, but have to be a lot more careful, obviously. Um, so if after this conversation about all these risks, we say, well, do we have enough labor? Yeah, we have plenty of people, as we just said. Do we have enough of materials? I mean, were you kidding? We're quite good at extraction, a little too good, actually. That's actually part of the problem. So if we have the materials, we have the people. But the thing everybody wants to know is, do we have enough blue-green pieces of paper with dead people on them? That's what you want to know? Economy is people working, doing things which help people live. And you just worry about that being the economy. Upgrading our infrastructure, every building in America. I appreciate that. Uh, and so the other thing that I want to cover is, like, even from a theological angle, so they go with this God is going to protect us from all this stuff. God would never do this to us. These guys, I don't know if you read the Old Testament, but if God gave all the humankind all of the plants and animals to use as creations, and we destroyed them without knowing or caring, so we could drive single seat to jobs that are too far away using modified 19th century cars, water bottles we used once, wasteful, harmful, silly. It sounds exactly like the Old Testament God's wrath to apocalypse, self-indulgent people unwilling to give up things they know are killing them and hurting, all of God's creations. So, I mean, and it really is. It's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Uh, Drought brings famine, mass migrations, which is prime for diseases. Rising sea levels is, again, it's possible loss of cities. Plural, like all of them. Mass migrations, diseases come up, wars for sure. Wars over droughts. That's not even. You could get that from Sun Tzu 2,000 years before Christ lived. Droughts cause wars. So we got a lot of work to do, but the key is, and I'll go into the promise because it's also a gateway to heaven, man. I think we can do a lot to eliminate racism because people working together to build and make homes better, to make them more energy efficient. Sunlight coming in, making sure it's already in the building code of New York City. You can't have rooms without windows because people need sunlight to grow just like plants do. Vitamin D helps process uh, calcium, helps you to heal, and rheumatoid arthritis, osteo diseases that are on the rise. These things are very possible, and certainly happiness. We know for a fact that sunlight produces happiness. So let's knock this all out, get it done, do it. I worked out the economics. It's not that hard. It works well within the current economic paradigm. We just have to do it, get it done, and understand that the mechanism of moving forward is all in. This is the economy. That's what it is. That's what it's going to be for the immediate future, then we're probably going to send 144,000 people into space. But you know, space race. But let's first things first. Take care of here. Take care of us. We're on the next level. Let's keep going.